Brand DNA, the foundation of connection. In this chapter, we will cover these learning outcomes. 1. Define personal brand identity and its essential components. 2. Analyze internal factors, values, passion, purpose that shape brand DNA. 3. Explore the role of self-perception versus audience perception. 4. Evaluate how authenticity and narrative consistency drive brand loyalty. 5. Develop a foundational personal brand statement. Branding today isn't just about logos, taglines, or product placement. It's about identity. In a world saturated with content, people don't only want to buy, they want to belong. Whether you're a startup, a global company, or an individual building a brand name, the strength of a brand begins with its brand deoxyribonucleic acid. Brand DNA is the internal compass that defines what your brand represents, how it communicates with its audience, and why it matters. Your brand reflects your values, voice. Without this foundation, even the most polished marketing efforts fall flat. Branding without identity becomes noise. In the digital age, attention spans are short and audiences are skeptical. Therefore, authenticity matters more than perfection. People are drawn to brands that feel intentional and consistent. Building a brand on a foundation of honesty and alignment builds trust and audience loyalty over time. This chapter will explore how to define and activate brand DNA as the basis for all brand decisions, from design and storytelling to collaborations and partnerships. Before diving into strategies or tools, the essential questions are: who are you? Why do you exist? And what experience should people feel when they encounter your brand? A clear and authentic brand, deoxyribonucleic acid, helps individuals and organizations stand out in crowded markets. It enables you to craft a brand that not only attracts attention, but also builds lasting emotional connections. Casetify, building brand DNA through pop culture and emotional relevance. Figure 1.2, Casetify website, retrieved by Lindsay Peelman, Hong Kong, China, September 5, 2025. Founded in 2011, Casetify began as a platform for customizing phone cases with Instagram photos. Over time, it grew into a global lifestyle and tech accessories brand recognized for bold design, cultural collaborations, and emotional storytelling. The company's evolution reflects a clear brand DNA rooted in 4 pillars. 1. Self-expression through customization. 1. Cultural relevance in collaborative creativity. 1. Community identity. These principles came to life through partnerships with major pop culture icons, including Olivia Rodrigo, Blackpink, and BTS. Instead of relying on celebrity visibility alone, Casetify aligned its products with the cultural values and emotional narratives these artists represented, creating deeper connections with fans. A turning point came in late 2021 when Casetify launched a limited edition collaboration inspired by Olivia Rodrigo's Sour album. The cases reflected her world through lyrics, sticker book motifs, and her signature lavender and pastel color palette. Marketing emphasized emotion and identity over product function, positioning the collection as a continuation of Rodrigo's narrative rather than a typical endorsement. By releasing the products as exclusive drops, Casetify created urgency while encouraging social sharing. Fans didn't see the products as merchandise, they experienced them as authentic artifacts of Rodrigo's artistic universe. This approach was successful because the brand leaned into Rodrigo's existing identity instead of overlaying its own. Fans felt as though Rodrigo herself had co-created the products for them, deepening their connection not only to her, but also to Casetify. Figure 1.4, Olivia Rodrigo and Casetify collaboration, Casetify Instagram, September 25, 2022. Following the Rodrigo collaboration success, Casetify partnered with Blackpink and BTS, creating collections that blended global appeal with localized fan culture. The designs incorporated recognizable motifs such as BTS lyrics and Blackpink's bold pink-forward visuals. Products were customizable, allowing fans to further personalize their connection to the music and the brand. These partnerships consistently sold out within hours, and amplified Casetify's cultural reach, especially in Southeast Asia, Japan, and the US. Immersive retail experiences in Seoul, Tokyo, and Los Angeles reinforce this strategy, making Casetify a globally relevant, fan-driven brand. By 2022, Casetify tripled its sales compared to 2020. Its success demonstrates that effective branding stems from strong brand deoxyribonucleic acid, activated through authentic, emotionally resonant marketing strategies. Rather than centering celebrities, Casetify allowed artists' cultural identities to lead the storytelling, making the products feel like personal extensions of fans' favorite worlds. Rodrigo's fan base aligned directly with Casetify's core demographic, Gen Z consumers who value authenticity, emotion, and individuality. Casetify didn't just collaborate with Olivia Rodrigo, they immersed themselves in the brand she had already created. Rather than trying to insert their own brand identity into the partnership, they allowed Rodrigo's world to take center stage. The product designs, packaging, and messaging were all rooted in the emotional universe she built through sour, heartbreak, rage, nostalgia, a feminine aesthetic, and raw self-expression. By letting Olivia's aesthetic and storytelling lead the creative process, Casetify positioned the collection as an extension of her brand, rather than just merchandise. Brand DNA is more than visuals or slogans. It's cultural alignment and authentic storytelling. By anchoring itself in a clear brand DNA, Casetify became more than a tech accessory company. It became a cultural brand that reflected creativity, individuality, and belonging. Olivia Rodrigo's breakout brand persona, learning objective one-to-one define personal brand identity and its essential components. Diagram 1.2, Personal Brand Identity. A personal brand identity is the unique combination of traits, emotions, values, visuals, and voice that shape how a person is perceived by others, especially in professional and public settings. For a personal brand to be successful, it must be authentic, consistent, distinct, and. Olivia Rodrigo's masterful branding offers a standout example of how defining a clear personal brand identity can lead to massive cultural and commercial success. When Olivia Rodrigo emerged onto the mainstream music scene in 2021 with her debut album Sour, she didn't try to be everything to everyone. Instead, she leaned hard into one specific emotional lane: angst. Songs like Driver's License, Deja Vu, and Good For You weren't just hits. They were emotional release valves for a generation overwhelmed by heartbreak, identity confusion, and anxiety. Rodrigo crafted a persona that embodied rawness, heartbreak, vulnerability, and rage, and she paired this with an aesthetic that fused 2000s pop-punk visuals, plaid skirts, stickers, purple tones, with Gen Z's digital native language. Figure 1.5, Cell Phone W, picture of woman, Nick Fancher, Ohio, October 24th, 2024. Unsplash license. What made Olivia's brand identity successful was that it wasn't accidental. Her music, fashion, social media presence, and even merchandising all aligned around this emotionally honest, angry, and reflective character. She wasn't just making music, she was expressing a persona that mirrored what her fans were feeling. That emotional consistency creates instant brand clarity. Fans didn't just like her songs, they saw themselves in her. They connected with her storytelling, her emotional transparency, and her refusal to dilute her feelings to appear more palatable. A strong personal brand must reflect core values and emotional truths. Rodrigo's emotional honesty. Communicate a consistent tone and style, lyrical vulnerability, pop-punk visuals. Find a stand for something relatable and memorable, teen angst, heartbreak growing up. Build a community or identity group, Gen Z fans who feel seen by her. Through this clear and focused brand identity, Olivia Rodrigo became more than a singer, she became a cultural phenomenon. Her fans didn't just consume her content, they emotionally identified with it. They wanted to dress like her, sound like her, post like her, and even cry like her. This kind of deep connection is the hallmark of a successful personal brand. Olivia Rodrigo's rise to fame demonstrates the power of defining a clear personal brand identity. By authentically channeling anger, heartbreak, and vulnerability into every aspect of her public presence, she created a persona that captured the attention of a global audience and defined an entire emotional landscape for Gen Z. Her story shows that successful personal branding isn't about being perfect, it's about being specific and emotionally true. Olivia Rodrigo's emotional blueprint for brand identity. Learning objective 1 to 2 analyze internal factors, values, passion, purpose that shape brand DNA. Brand DNA refers to the foundational core of any brand. It's what defines the brand at its most authentic level and guides everything from messaging to visual identity to product decisions. For personal brands especially, brand DNA is deeply influenced by internal factors such as values, passions, and purpose. These elements don't just inform what a person does, they shape how and why they do it. Olivia Rodrigo is a powerful case study in how embracing internal factors can create a brand that is emotionally authentic, culturally resonant, and commercially successful. From the beginning of her public career, Olivia Rodrigo has led with emotional vulnerability. Her core value is emotional honesty. She refuses to shy away from complicated feelings like jealousy, insecurity, rage, and heartbreak. In a media landscape where many young artists are pressured to appear polished and likable at all times, Olivia chose to be real, raw, and occasionally messy. That honesty became the cornerstone of her brand. Whether in her songwriting, interviews, or social media posts, she consistently shows up as someone willing to say what others are too afraid to say out loud. Before she was a chart-topping musician, she was a songwriter, crafting deeply personal lyrics that often read like pages from a diary. Her ability to turn raw, relatable emotions into poetic, catchy, and powerful songs shows her deep love for music as a medium of expression. This passion bleeds into everything she creates, from the music itself to the visuals that accompany it. Fans trust her because they know she means what she says. The storytelling feels intimate, and the emotional range feels lived in. Her purpose is rooted in giving voice to the inner emotional worlds of her generation. She's not just making music for entertainment, she's creating songs that help people feel less alone. Olivia has positioned herself as a vessel for expressing what it feels like to grow up today, especially for young women navigating heartbreak, identity, and societal expectations. Her purpose has created a loyal, emotionally connected fan base who see her not just as an artist, but as a mirror reflecting their own lived experiences. Figure 1.6 Human Body Internal Factors. Allison saying, November 20th, 2023. Unsplash license. These internal factors, values emotional honesty, passion storytelling through music, and purpose giving voice to Gen Z emotions, are hardly just background traits. They actively shape every aspect of Olivia Rodrigo's brand DNA. Her music, style, collaborations, social media presence, and public image are all consistent because they come from a place of internal alignment. There is no disconnect between who she is and how she shows up as a brand, and that is why she resonates so deeply with her audience. Olivia Rodrigo's brand wasn't manufactured from market trends or algorithmic insights. It was built from within, crafted through her lived values, fueled by her passion for storytelling. And analyzing her success reveals that brand DNA is most powerful when it is not invented, but discovered, when it reflects the truth of who someone is and what they care about most. Olivia Rodrigo and the balance between authenticity and interpretation. Learning objective 1 to 3 explore the role of self-perception versus audience perception. Figure 1.7, Woman in Row of Seats, Brock Wagner, Minneapolis, February 1st, 2023. Unsplash license. In personal branding, there's often a complex relationship between how a person sees themselves, self-perception, and how the public sees them, audience perception. While self-perception is rooted in personal identity, values, and internal narrative, audience perception is shaped by cultural context, media representation, and emotional interpretation. Understanding this dynamic is crucial for anyone developing a brand because even if your brand is built on authenticity, you often don't control how it will be received. Olivia Rodrigo's rise to fame offers a compelling look at how this dynamic plays out. Rodrigo has been open about writing from a deeply personal place, often describing her songs as journal entries set to music. Her self-perception is that of a young woman navigating heartbreak, identity, and growth, someone who values emotional honesty and isn't afraid to be vulnerable, angry, or confused. She doesn't claim to have all the answers. Instead, she positions herself as someone still figuring it out. However, audience perception has elevated her to something bigger than that, a voice of a generation, a symbol of Gen Z emotion, and an icon of female rage and heartbreak. To many, songs like Good For You and Traitor weren't just hits because they were catchy. They were embraced because they captured emotions that listeners were already feeling and wanted to express themselves. Olivia's audience didn't just hear her music, they saw themselves in it. Diagram 1.3 perception. This is where self perception and audience perception start to diverge. Rodrigo may see herself as a normal teenager processing her emotions, but her audience often sees her as a role model, a pop punk poet, or even a cultural therapist. While Olivia has remained grounded in her own identity, the cultural machine around her, fans, media, brands, and social media, has built a much larger myth around her. And that myth becomes part of her brand whether she intended it or not. For personal brands, this creates both power and pressure. When audience perception aligns with self perception, the brand feels authentic and resonant. But when they diverge too far, there can be confusion, burnout, or backlash. Olivia Rodrigo has so far navigated this tension with grace, continuing to evolve her music and image while staying rooted in her emotional truth. But her journey illustrates a key branding lesson. Your brand is not just what you say it is, it's also how others experience it. Successful personal branding requires a constant awareness of how you see yourself and how others interpret you. Olivia Rodrigo's career reminds us that a brand is a shared space between the creator and the audience built through intention, but shaped by emotion, interpretation, and cultural context. Learning Objective 1 to 4, evaluate how authenticity and narrative consistency drive brand loyalty. In today's saturated media landscape, where audiences are constantly bombarded with content and advertising, authenticity and narrative consistency have become two of the most powerful drivers of brand loyalty. Consumers, especially younger generations, are not just buying products, music, or experiences, they are investing in stories, values, and identities. When a brand remains true to its voice and values over time, audiences are more likely to trust it, engage with it, and advocate for it. Olivia Rodrigo is a prime example of how staying emotionally authentic and narratively consistent can turn a rising star into a cultural icon with a fiercely loyal fan base. From her breakout single Driver's License to her Grammy-winning debut album Sour and her follow-up album Guts, Olivia Rodrigo has cultivated a personal brand built on emotional transparency, youthful angst, vulnerability, and poetic storytelling. Her lyrics don't just tell stories, they reveal her inner world without filters. This emotional openness resonates deeply with Gen Z fans who value raw expression and mental health awareness. By being consistently honest about her heartbreak, insecurities, and growth, Rodrigo has become a relatable figure who feels more like a trusted friend than a distant celebrity. Olivia's music, fashion, social media presence, interviews, and brand collaborations all align with the same emotional and aesthetic language. Her visual identity, grungy, pastel, retro teen angst mixed with Gen Z irony, has remained remarkably cohesive. Whether she's releasing a new song, doing a press interview, or launching a Case to 5 phone case collection, the emotional thread stays the same. She's telling the story of a young woman navigating chaos, confusion, and self discovery. This consistent storytelling has built deep emotional trust with her audience. Fans know what they're going to get when they engage with her brand, not in a predictable or boring way, but in a way that feels true. They return to her music and message again and again because it delivers an experience that feels honest, familiar, and emotionally safe. That trust translates into brand loyalty, as fans not only consume her content, but also promote it, defend it, and integrate it into their own identities. In contrast, when brands stray too far from their original narrative or attempt to chase trends without alignment to their core identity, audiences often react with skepticism or disengagement. Olivia Rodrigo's brand shows what's possible when every element, music, imagery, tone, and message reinforces a central, authentic narrative. This cohesive narrative allows her audience to feel like they belong to her story. By staying emotionally honest and keeping her storytelling aligned across all platforms, she has earned the deep trust of her audience and positioned herself as a lasting voice of her generation. Her brand doesn't need constant reinvention. It thrives on emotional truth and the consistency of her evolving story. Olivia Rodrigo's emotionally driven personal brand. Learning Objective 1 to 5 develop a foundational personal brand statement. A personal brand statement is a clear, concise sentence that communicates who you are, what you stand for, and what sets you apart. It's more than a tagline, it's the foundation of your public identity and the anchor that guides your decisions, messaging, and presence across platforms. A strong personal brand statement blends your values, voice, passion, and purpose into a single narrative. Olivia Rodrigo offers a powerful real-world example of how a defined personal brand statement can shape everything from public perception to fan loyalty and cultural impact. Olivia Rodrigo burst onto the scene with a fully formed identity, emotional, expressive, raw, and deeply personal. While she may not have sat down and written a formal brand statement in those exact words, her career choices and artistic direction clearly reflect a brand essence that could be captured as, I give voice to the emotional chaos of growing up through raw, relatable storytelling that helps my generation feel seen, understood, and empowered. This brand statement reflects several key elements. On clarity of audience, she speaks directly to General Z, young people experiencing emotional highs and lows, identity confusion, heartbreak, and transition. T. Emotional tone, she leads with vulnerable authenticity, not perfection. Core strength. Her superpower is lyrical storytelling that doesn't shy away from sadness, rage, or insecurity. Mom and purpose. She uses her music and image to create connection and catharsis. When developing a foundational personal brand statement for yourself, it's helpful to reflect on questions like, what do I care deeply about? What do I consistently show up as or offer others? What kind of impact do I want to make? How do I want to make people feel? Whether she's performing at the Grammys, launching a phone case collection, or speaking in interviews, her voice remains true to her purpose, channeling raw emotion into honest expression. A foundational personal brand statement serves as the core of how you present yourself to the world. It provides focus, alignment, and clarity, especially in creative industries or public-facing roles. Olivia Rodrigo's success shows what can happen when your personal brand is both intentional and emotionally truthful. Her brand statement isn't just something she says, it's something she lives. Summary of learning objectives. Learning objective 1 to 1. Define personal brand identity and its essential components. Personal brand identity is the unique combination of values, personality traits, experiences, and visual elements that represent who you are and what you stand for. It includes your tone of voice, style, mission, and the emotional impression you leave on others. A strong personal brand is intentional and consistent, aligning what you believe with how you present yourself to the world. Olivia Rodrigo offers a compelling example of brand identity in action. Through her music, visuals, and public persona, she built a brand centered around vulnerability, teenage heartbreak, and emotional intensity. Her aesthetic choices, including handwritten lyrics, purple tones, and gritty mood boards, consistently reinforce her brand across platforms. She's not just a pop star, she's a cultural identity her audience connects with on a personal level. Learning objective 1 to 2. Analyze internal factors, values, passion, purpose that shape brand DNA. The DNA of any brand, personal or corporate, is grounded in its internal factors, values, passion, and purpose. These are the non-negotiables that guide how a person or company shows up in the world. Values define what matters most, passion fuels the work, and purpose answers the deeper why behind it all. Olivia Rodrigo's brand DNA is shaped by her emotional honesty and passion for songwriting. Her values, authentic expression, emotional transparency, and artistic integrity are reflected in everything she does. Her purpose goes beyond entertainment. She aims to give voice to feelings young people often struggle to articulate. These internal drivers form the core of her brand and make it resonate with millions. Explore the role of self-perception versus audience perception. Effective personal branding lies at the intersection of how you see yourself, self-perception, and how others perceive you, audience perception. When these two align, trust and credibility follow. But when they don't, the brand can feel inauthentic or confusing to the public. Olivia Rodrigo's early brand was rooted in her self-perception as a heartbroken teenager trying to make sense of her emotions. That self-image was mirrored by her audience, who saw themselves in her experiences. The overlap created a powerful feedback loop. Olivia's openness made her relatable, and her audience's support confirmed and shaped the ongoing direction of her brand. This harmony is what helped her transition from rising star to generational voice. Learning objective 1 to 4. Evaluate how authenticity and narrative consistency drive brand loyalty. Authenticity, being true to who you are, and narrative consistency, repeating and reinforcing your story across platforms, are two pillars of strong personal branding. Together, they build trust, deepen emotional connection, and encourage long-term audience engagement. Olivia Rodrigo's Rise illustrates how these concepts fuel brand loyalty. Her storytelling is consistent. Every song, post, interview, and aesthetic choice feeds into her core narrative of emotional truth and youthful introspection. Fans trust her because she doesn't stray from the core of who she is. That consistency makes them feel like they're growing with her, not just consuming her content. When people believe in the story, they stick around for the journey. Learning objective 1 to 5. Develop a foundational personal brand statement. A personal brand statement is a concise summary of who you are, what you do, and why it matters. It acts as a guiding light, helping you stay focused and communicate clearly with others. A great brand statement reflects your strengths, goals, and the unique value you bring to your field or audience. For someone like Olivia Rodrigo, her implicit personal brand statement might read, "I'm a singer-songwriter who transforms emotional chaos into honest, raw storytelling for a generation." It's clear, emotionally charged, and purpose-driven. Creating a personal brand statement like this helps emerging professionals define their voice and position themselves in a crowded marketplace. Chapter 1 Assignment. Case Study 1. Build your brand DNA. Reflection and personal branding. From heartbreak to hashtag, crafting your own influencer brand DNA. Overview. In this chapter, you explored how Olivia Rodrigo built a personal brand rooted in emotional authenticity, narrative consistency, and cultural resonance. Her story is a powerful example of how values, self-perception, audience connection, and storytelling come together to form a compelling brand identity. Now it's your turn. Your challenge. Imagine you are launching yourself as a personal brand or digital influencer, using Olivia Rodrigo's brand journey as a case study. Develop your own personal brand story and brand DNA, focusing on what makes you stand out and how you want others to connect with you. Answer the following prompts in paragraph form. 1. What made Olivia Rodrigo's personal brand feel so authentic and relatable to her Gen Z audience? 2. How did her values, passion, and purpose shape her brand DNA? 3. What lessons can you take from her approach to help shape your own brand identity? Part 2. Develop your brand DNA. Step 1. Personal brand foundations. Write 1 to 2 sentences for each of the following. Your core values. What principles or beliefs define you? Your purpose. What do you want to achieve or help others achieve? Your personality tone. How do you want to come across? Funny, rebellious, sincere, smart, edgy, etc. Step 2. Your personal brand statement. Write a short paragraph, 3 to 5 sentences that clearly communicates your brand identity. Think of it as your mission statement and vibe in one, something that could go in a bio or media kit. Example, I'm a mental health advocate who shares unfiltered, funny takes on healing and growth. I create content that makes people laugh, cry, and feel less alone. My goal is to normalize mental health struggles while building a space where people feel like they belong. Part 3, optional visual prompt. Design a simple mock-up of your social media page, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube banner, or a YouTube thumbnail. Include your handle, brand colors, 1 photo, and a tagline. This helps bring your brand DNA to life visually. Grading criteria considerations for students. Thoughtful reflection on Olivia Rodrigo case study. Clearly defined values, passion, purpose, and tone. Strong, clear personal brand statement, creativity, uniqueness, and clarity of your brand DNA. Optional, visual mock-up, professionalism, grammar, formatting. Chapter 1, definitions. 1, personal brand, the unique combination of qualities, values, and persona you present to the world. 2, brand deoxyribonucleic acid, the internal blueprint of your brand shaped by purpose, passion, values, and identity. 3, authenticity, being true to yourself and consistent in how you communicate and express your brand. 4, narrative, the personal story you share that builds emotional connection with your audience. 6, audience perception, how others see you and what they associate with your brand presence. 7, values, core beliefs that influence your actions, decisions, and brand identity. 8, passion, deep enthusiasm or drive that energizes your work and helps shape your brand message. 9, purpose, the reason your brand exists beyond profit, your mission and meaning. 10, brand loyalty, a strong emotional connection that leads people to consistently support your brand. 11, emotional resonance, the ability of your story or message to deeply connect with others' feelings. 12, consistency, aligning your brand voice, visuals, and actions across all platforms and situations. 13, influencer, a person who builds a loyal following by authentically sharing their personality and passions. 14, identity, the characteristics, aesthetics, and voice that make your brand recognizable and relatable. 15, cultural relevance, the extent to which your brand reflects or speaks to current societal interests or movements.